Hi, my friends, it's Matt. So today I want to talk to you about creativity, ways you can boost your creativity. Now, obviously, in my 9 to 5 job, I don't really use creativity a whole lot, but as you know, I write music in my free time, and that's a big hobby of mine. It makes me some money on the side. It's something I truly love to do, and of course, writing music is extremely creative. So, it takes a lot of mental energy to be able to do something that creative frequently and still enjoy it and still be somewhat good at it. So, creativity is different, obviously, than something very analytical. And it takes a different part of your brain and it can really wear you out. And sometimes you just have to be in the mood to be creative. And it's very hard to do, it's very hard to force it. So, I've come up with 6 tips for boosting your creativity when you feel not creative, when you feel like, well, I'm not making any progress with this. I don't know where to go with this project or whatever that is creative. And I'd like to add a side note here. This is not just for writing music or making art or anything creative in that aspect. This is also for looking at problems in different ways, looking for solutions in different ways, looking at life in a different way. This can be applied to a lot of different things. Thinking out of the box, not necessarily simply doing a creative task, but it can also apply to that as well. Sorry, it's very hot out here, so I will be drinking a lot of water often. So, the first thing you need to do with creativity, this is very important, is understand that some creative things cannot be forced. Some creative things cannot be forced. There are times with me when I'm writing music, there will be times where I need to just stop. Forcing it is not working. It is not producing a better result. It is not producing a good quality product or whatever I'm working on. And I need to just stop and realize that this cannot be forced, and when it comes, it comes. So that's not really a tip, but that's something to remember. So here are the 6 main things you can do to boost your creativity. All right, are you ready? Number 1, change your scenery. Now, I know that sounds very basic and very silly almost, but changing your scenery can be a big boost to creativity. A lot of times on my weekends, I will come out here, like right now, I will come out here instead of sitting at my desk, because my desk is where I'm at all the time when I'm working on music, when I'm just on the computer, when I'm lounging, watching YouTube, whatever. I do all those things at my desk. So stepping away from my desk and coming outside, especially, fresh air is a big factor. It really helps boost creativity and helps you think of things in different ways. So, just a change of scenery is one of the biggest things you can do to boost your creativity. So just come outside. If honestly, I've even gone to like a hotel lobby before. If you live by a hotel, bring your laptop to a lobby. They're playing nice background music. Like, it's just a different atmosphere. You'll see interesting people walk by. You can people watch. You can work on your project. That's why people go to coffee shops so much to work, I think, because it's a change of scenery. So it gives them something, when you do work in a different location, it just feels more exciting. It adds a whole new twist to it. So I think that is a big factor, is changing your scenery. And I think outside, if you can, obviously it's hot right now, so I don't want to stay outside too long or I'll just be not even enjoying it. But changing your scenery is a big factor, preferably outside if you can, because the fresh air will help you feel better and work more creatively as well. That was the first thing. The second thing is look to others for inspiration. So when I'm stuck on a piece of music, I will score study. I've talked about this before. I will look at other scores that are not necessarily similar, but maybe also similar. If I'm writing a Christmas piece, I'll study a bunch of Christmas orchestral music. And it's not necessarily to steal from that, but I take away so many techniques. That is how I learn how to write music, is that I take away so many techniques from all these scores that I study. So for example, I have an arrangement of We Need a Little Christmas from Mame. It's still one of the best things I've ever written, I think. I wrote an arrangement of it. It got performed a couple times already. Sounds phenomenal. Every time I hear it, I'm like, I can't believe I wrote that. But I will say that a lot of the techniques used in there are from John Williams' scores, predominantly his Hooray for Hollywood arrangement. So I studied Hooray for Hollywood because it is one of my favorite things that he's written. Very underplayed. I mean, no one really plays it. I think they play it at like the Hollywood Bowl or something occasionally. But very underplayed. One of his best things, in my opinion. And I studied that, and I picked up techniques. Obviously, I didn't pick up like the melody or anything like that because I was writing a whole different melody. But the style I picked up. You know, he used a drum set. I used a drum set. He did some things with the strings that are fairly unique. I did those things with the strings that matched what I was doing in that context. So, you know, when you're stuck creatively, it definitely helps to draw inspiration from others and look to others for inspiration. Now, as per last week's video, do not let that cross a line of judging yourself and feeling imposter syndrome and feeling as if you're not good enough and you're terrible compared to these people you're looking to for inspiration. Simply look to them for inspiration. Pull some techniques that they're using. Don't steal, obviously, but pull some techniques that they're using, apply it to your own work in your own context, and it brings a whole new life into whatever you're working on. So that's number 2. Number 3, add new constraints. Now, a lot of people don't talk about this, but when you add constraints to your work, when you add restrictions to your work, it actually forces you to think outside the box and be more creative in whatever you're writing. So, for example, I have not yet done this, but actually, yes, I have. So, when I'm writing a piece, I get overwhelmed sometimes with the whole score because I'm trying to, tweak it here and there, and just everything playing is just too much, and it's not really helping me. So I will just mute every instrument except strings or brass or whatever it may be. So then I'm restricting myself to that constraint of just strings or just brass. And I will listen to the entire piece with just that. And if there's a period that is very boring or uncreative or that kind of doesn't stand on its own well enough in certain situations, obviously, then I will just work on those instruments without listening to the rest. Obviously, it has to match what the others are doing, but I will restrict myself to just those instruments, work on those, focus on those, make them intricate as I want in that part of the piece. I will make it as complex as I want. I will give it some, counter melody or whatever it is that makes it more interesting. And I will apply that. And then I'll add back all the instruments, play it all together, and now I have a more intricate, creative sounding segment of the piece or whatever it may be. Because I added constraints, I forced myself to be more creative within those narrower constraints. So this can apply to a lot of different things, but adding constraints definitely can force you to be creative in whatever you're working on. That was number 3. Number 4, focus on the big picture. So that really helps me. I get bogged down in the scores when I'm writing. Really bogged down, really, like I said, I'm tweaking a note here and there in the French horn. I'm trying to get these chords to work out right, whatever. You can really get too bogged down in the details. Focus on the big picture. So occasionally, if I get bogged down, I will literally zoom all the way out of the score. So it is just this massive little digital paper thing with a bunch of tiny little things, and it just helps me get a visual overview of what is going on in this piece. If I don't have woodwinds playing enough, zoom out all the way, but I'm not thinking about it in the moment because I'm working on, tweaking all this stuff. Zoom out, big picture, and I will see emptiness in the woodwinds where maybe woodwinds would really help out. And so it also helps me visualize, like, where I want the piece to go, orchestrally, like orchestration wise, like, well, the trumpets clearly had the melody for this long. Now do I want to jump it up here to the woodwinds or down here to the strings, or whatever it may be? Zooming out and focusing on the big picture really helps with that. And again, that can apply to other things other than music. That can apply to finding solutions for things, or coming up with an idea for things. Just really zoom out. Don't get bogged down in the details. If you are, look at the big picture. That was number 4. Number 5, this is really cool. Visualize the final result. So I will do this a lot where, if I am struggling to see, well, where should I go with this piece? Like, how should I orchestrate this next part? Or how do I transition into this next part? Or how do I end the piece? Endings can be hard. How do I end the piece? Well, very simply, visualize the final result. Easier said than done, I know. But I will literally play it in my head as if a real orchestra was playing it. So, when I'm writing it on the computer, it's all digital instruments. Sounds like garbage, basically. But, they're doing their best. But the digital instruments just sound terrible compared, obviously, to a real orchestra. So, what do? I visualize the final result. So, in my head, I will play it. I've heard enough orchestra music. I know what it would sound like, essentially, with an orchestra, real orchestra playing it. So I will visualize the final result in my head. In other words, if I was listening to this on a CD or on Spotify, and say this was already written by someone else, better than me, what would it do? How would it go? And then I visualize that, and I just write that. So I literally kind of reverse engineer where, if someone other than me were writing this piece and I was just passively listening to it as a bystander, as the audience, what would I want it to do? And what would it do? What would a good composer do? And then I just do that. And so it's kind of reverse engineering, but really visualizing the final result. How do I want this to be? If I was the audience of this, how would I want it to sound? Or in art, how would I want it to look? Or in an idea or a solution, how would I want it to solve this problem if it were me? So visualize the final result. Focus on the big picture, visualize the final result. And then finally, this is the 6th way to boost creativity. This is if all the other ones aren't really helping at the moment. Step away. Step away from the project. Step away from the idea. Step away from the product. Whatever it is you're working on where you're stuck, if those things don't work and you're still just stuck, step away. It is time to back off for a bit. It's time to go for a walk. It's time to take a day, a weekend, a week off of it. Just relax. Go to the pool. There's people at the pool over there. Just do whatever for the length of time you need, or just focus on your 9-to-5 job if this is a hobby thing like I do. Focus on your 9-to-5 job. Don't worry about the music at that moment. Go a week without even opening the piece or the picture or the drawing or the whatever or the spreadsheet or whatever it is you're working on. Go a week, if you can. Without looking at it. Step away, and then when you come back, I do this all the time. I will take a complete week or 2 without even opening the file that I was working on for so long. And then when I step back to it, I see it in a whole new light because I don't even really remember the details of it. So when I'm hearing it, it's almost like I'm hearing it for the first time, and I'll immediately go, oh my gosh, that chord, awful, gotta fix it. You know, this orchestration is empty here. Why did I have this doing this over here? I'm gonna move that. All this stuff because you stepped away. So now you're seeing it from a first-timer's perspective, and that really helps. Sip of water. So that basically covers it, my friends. I hope this was helpful. So again, this was, we can do a quick recap here. This is how to boost your creativity when you're feeling stuck. First of all, understand that some creative things cannot be forced. Some things, depending on what they are, cannot be forced. You just have to wait for the inspiration to strike. But there are things you can do. So number one was change your scenery. I'm outside. I'm enjoying this 95-degree weather. I'm definitely not sweating. Number two, look to others for inspiration. But again, you got to draw the line and not compare yourself to others too much. Just draw inspiration and techniques from them. Number three, add new constraints. So force yourself to be restricted in something, and it will push you to be more creative with whatever you're working on. Number four, focus on the big picture. So just zoom out, look at the overview, what needs to be worked on, what can be improved. Number five, visualize the final result. How would this look if you were the audience or you were the person that the solution was going towards? What would you want it to do? How would you want it to look? How would you want it to sound? So visualize the final result in that way, from that other perspective. And then finally, number six, if all else fails, step away for whatever time you need, regroup, don't even think about it. Literally put it out of your brain for however long you need, step back when you're ready, and it will be like an entirely new project. And you'll be able to come up with those solutions from an outsider's perspective almost, because you stepped away and you're not bogged down in the details anymore. So my friends, I hope that helped you. If you liked the video, definitely like it. Definitely comment. I would love to hear your thoughts. And of course, if you like this channel and what I'm doing, subscribe. There will be more score analysis coming up. I won't say what it is, but it's a very good piece that I think you will like, very famous. And I will tell you that it is by John Williams. So we are doing our first John Williams score analysis. That will be very exciting next week. But in the meantime, I hope you have a great day, my friends. It is a great day to have a great day. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next week. Alright, if you stayed this long, here's a little preview of my view here. Isn't that nice? So very relaxing.